Okay, ready to dive into something we probably all think about a little too much? Worry. That thing that keeps us up at night.
Yeah, worry. We all do it.
But get this. We found this YouTube video, and it takes a super interesting look at worry through, get this, Carl Jung.
Oh, wow.
And if you don't know, Jung was like all about the unconscious mind, right?
Right, yeah.
So the video, it basically says that worry, it's not just a normal part of life. It's like a trap, a mental trap we can actually escape.
Oh, that's interesting.
I know, right? It totally got my attention.
Yeah.
So, okay, here's the big idea from the video. Worry, it comes from like not trusting this deeper intelligence that we have inside us. It's like we forget we have this huge, powerful unconscious mind always working behind the scenes.
Yeah, he often compared the unconscious to this vast ocean in our conscious mind. It's just the tip of the iceberg.
Right. So instead of getting all freaked out about every little thing, what if we could like tap into this inner wisdom?
It's like trusting the process more.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the video, it uses this analogy. It's like the universe moves the stars, right? It's a huge force that controls everything. Well, it says that same force is also working in our lives.
Wow. So like it's guiding things, even if we don't see it.
Yes. And that's where, and this is a big one, surrender comes in.
Surrender. Okay.
Yeah, the video, it makes it really clear. Surrender doesn't mean like giving up.
Right.
It's more like letting go of that need to control every single thing.
Letting go so that deeper intelligence can work.
Yes. Trusting there's a bigger picture happening, even if we can't see it all right now.
Oh, I like that.
Me too. I mean, how would Jung look at surrender, though? What does it actually look like?
Well, Jung, he believed that when we resist our experiences, especially the tough ones, they actually just get stronger. He has that famous quote, "What you resist persists."
Oh, right. I've heard that.
So to Jung, surrendering could be like accepting what is without judgment.
Like going with the flow instead of against it.
Yeah, allowing ourselves to be led by this deeper intelligence instead of always fighting.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. It's like we're swimming upstream, getting exhausted, when we could just relax and float.
Exactly.
So how do we actually, make that change?
Well, the video, it talks a lot about living in the present moment.
Oh, being present, right. But worry, it's all about the future or the past.
Exactly. Those what-ifs that might not even happen, or reliving past mistakes. But right now, this moment, things are usually actually okay.
And that's where the peace is.
Yes, and it's also where we connect with the unconscious, with that deeper wisdom.
Okay, so it's about coming back to right now instead of getting lost in all that mental time travel. The video even had this little exercise that says, when you feel worried, ask yourself, what is wrong in this exact moment?
It's a good one.
I know, right?
It stops those spiraling thoughts and brings you back to reality.
Because a lot of times when we really check in with the present, it's not nearly as bad as we thought.
Right.
It's like shining a light on those scary fears, and then poof, they're not so scary anymore.
Yeah, I like that.
Me too. But why? Why do we hold on to control so tightly? The video, it kind of hints that it's because we've forgotten we're connected to something bigger than ourselves.
Jung, he believed that feeling connected to something larger is crucial for well-being.
Like feeling part of something bigger.
Yeah, he called it individuation, the process of becoming a whole integrated individual. And part of that, it's integrating our conscious and unconscious.
So we're not just our thoughts and anxieties, but also these powerful forces underneath.
Exactly.
So it's like we disconnect from this vital part of ourselves, and then bam, we're worried all the time.
Yeah, I can see that.
It's like trying to navigate life with only half the map. But the good news is, according to this video, we can reconnect.
We can.
And that reconnection, it actually makes us more powerful.
Because when we stop trying to control every little thing, we open ourselves up to the possibility that something greater is guiding us.
Supporting us, even protecting us.
Yeah. Exactly.
Wow. So we're starting to see what surrender actually means.
It's not about giving up, but about acknowledging our limits and tapping into the wisdom of our unconscious mind.
Trusting that deeper intelligence.
Yes.
Okay, this is really making me think.
Me too.
It's like we're trading in our control for trust and connection.
And that's where peace comes from.
Exactly. And the more we trust, the more we can just relax into the flow of life.
I love that. Letting go of the fight.
Right. But how do we start to put this into practice? How do we shift from fear to trust?
Well, the video says that worry, it's a habit.
A habit. It's not like a personality trait.
Yeah. It's something we learn over time.
Oh, so even if we've worried our whole lives, we can change it.
Exactly. And like any habit, it can be changed.
Wow. Okay, that's hopeful.
And it starts with noticing when you're falling into those worry patterns.
Like becoming aware of it.
Yeah, what triggers them, how they feel in your body and mind.
Recognizing.
Right. And the video really stresses this. We are not our thoughts. We are the observer of them.
Oh, is that...
Like watching clouds go by, we don't have to cling to everyone.
Just let them pass.
Exactly.
That's powerful. When we see that, worry loses its power.
We see it for what it is.
Just a thought, not the truth.
Yeah.
And that's where peace starts to come in, right?
It's not something we have to earn.
It's our natural state when we stop identifying with every thought that pops up.
Exactly.
Wow. But what does that look like in everyday life? How do we detach from worries and actually find that peace?
Well, the video, it suggests a few things. And one that fits with Jung's ideas is shadow work.
Shadow work.
Okay, what's that? It's basically about exploring the hidden parts of ourselves, those darker parts we usually push away.
Oh, interesting. So instead of ignoring those uncomfortable feelings we face,
yeah, we lean into them.
That seems a little counterintuitive, but I'm curious, how does that help with worry?
Well, then, he believed that this shadow, it holds our fears, insecurities, all the stuff we repress.
Oh, well, the heavy stuff.
Right. And by bringing it into the light, we can integrate it into who we are.
Instead of letting it control us from the shadows.
Exactly.
Wow. So it's about accepting those parts of ourselves we might not like, the parts that often make us worry.
It's like shining a light on the monster under the bed and seeing it's just laundry.
That's a great analogy.
Right.
When we face those fears, they lose their power.
And then there's room for peace and trust.
Wow. Okay, so we're starting to get a grip on what this whole surrender thing really means.
Journey.
It is. It's not about being weak or passive, but about realizing our limits and tapping into the wisdom that's already inside us.
Yeah, working with our unconscious instead of against it.
Right. And the more we do that, the more we can just let go and trust the flow of life.
It's a beautiful way to live.
It is. But how do we actually start putting this into practice? How do we shift from all that fear to trust?
Well, one key, and the video talks about this a lot, is recognizing that worry is a habit, not who you are.
Oh, right. We talked about that. It's something we've learned over time.
Right. Often unconsciously.
So even if we've worried our whole lives, it's not a life sentence.
Not at all. Like any habit, it can be changed.
So we can retrain our minds to respond differently.
Exactly. And the video emphasizes this really important point. We are not our thoughts. We are the observer of them.
Like those clouds passing by.
Yeah. We don't have to grab onto each one. Just let them float on.
That's a powerful image. When we see that, worry really does lose its grip.
Because we see it for what it is.
Just a thought, a passing cloud, not the ultimate truth.
Right. And this is where that sense of peace the video talks about starts to emerge.
It's not something we have to struggle for.
It's our natural state when we stop identifying with every thought that pops into our heads.
So it's already there, waiting for us to uncover it. Wow, this is mind-blowing. It's like we've been looking for peace outside ourselves when it's been inside all along.
And the video seems to be hinting at something even deeper, the idea that worry, maybe it's a signpost.
A signpost to what?
Pointing us towards a deeper connection to something bigger.
Okay, now we're getting somewhere.
Yeah.
So it's not just about calming our minds, but also about living in a way that's true to ourselves.
Yes, and that's what we'll explore in part 2. It's kind of cool how the video connects Jung's ideas about the unconscious with, like, Eastern spiritual traditions.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's like, that idea that there's this deeper intelligence inside us, a source of wisdom. It kind of echoes things like the Tao or the Atman,
Oh, wow. I hadn't thought of it like that.
It's a neat connection, right?
So we're talking about like more than just psychology, almost like a spiritual thing.
Exactly. Jung, he was super into Eastern philosophy. He saw a lot of parallels. And for him, like, becoming a whole person, it wasn't just about healing psychologically, but also kind of like waking up spiritually.
Okay, that is fascinating.
Yeah.
But how do we actually tap into that? This deeper intelligence?
Well, the video, it highlights a few things. One thing it talks about is dreams.
Dreams, okay.
Jung, he believed dreams are like a direct line to the unconscious.
Really?
Yeah, a way for like the self to talk to us, but in symbols.
In symbols? Oh, so not literally.
Right. He didn't think they were just random brain activity, but messages from like the depths of who we are.
So by paying attention to our dream, we might start to tune into this deeper intelligence.
Yeah, exactly. Jung, he was all about keeping a dream journal.
Oh, to like write them down?
Yep, and trying to figure out what the symbols meant. He thought if we really paid attention to our dreams, we could get like awesome insights into why we do the things we do, our fears, desires, all that.
Wow.
And then we could use those insights to live our lives with more awareness.
That's so interesting. I've always been kind of fascinated by dreams, but never really, thought about them as a way to get guidance.
It's a cool perspective, right?
Yeah, I meant to start paying more attention to mine. The video also mentions, was it active imagination?
Yes, active imagination.
What's that exactly?
It's kind of like daydreaming, but with a purpose.
So not just letting your mind wander randomly.
Right. You're actively engaging with your imagination, trying to like tap into those deeper levels.
Okay. I think I get it. What does it look like practically, though?
Well, it can be a lot of things. Like you could close your eyes and picture something specific, maybe from a dream.
Okay.
And then just see where your imagination takes you.
Let it unfold.
Yeah. Or imagine you're talking to like a wise figure or some archetype from your unconscious.
Wow. So it's almost like opening up a conversation between your conscious and unconscious minds.
Exactly. And Jung, he believed the unconscious has its own wisdom. And if we engage with it this way, we can access that wisdom and bring it into our lives.
That's powerful stuff.
It is. The key is just approaching it with curiosity and openness.
No judgment.
Yeah. Just see what comes up.
I like that. And the video also talks about things like meditation and spending time in nature.
Right.
As ways to connect with this deeper intelligence. That seems pretty common in a lot of spiritual traditions, right?
It does. And Jung, he was really into the connection between our psyches and the natural world.
Yeah, it's like nature has its own wisdom too.
Exactly. He believed being in nature helps us reconnect with our own inner nature.
Like those parts of us that get buried under all the stress of life.
Yeah, exactly. It's like we're recharging both physically and like spiritually.
And meditation. It can help quiet the mind.
Right. It's a great way to do that.
And when we're quiet, that's when those deeper insights can pop up.
Exactly. Meditation helps us be mindful, be present in the moment.
Without judging ourselves.
Right. And from that place of stillness, we're more likely to hear that inner wisdom.
The guidance of the self. So it's not about forcing it, but about creating the right conditions for it to happen naturally. But what about those times when, the worry just won't go away, even when we're doing all these things?
It happens.
The video actually says that even worry can be useful.
Oh, interesting.
It's like it's trying to tell us something.
Jung thought all emotions, even the bad ones, have a purpose.
Really?
Yeah. Like he saw anxiety as a signal. Something's off. We're not living true to ourselves.
Oh, so instead of trying to ignore our worry, we should actually listen to them.
Yeah, try to understand what they're trying to say.
Okay, so they're like messengers.
In a way, yeah. Pointing to areas in our lives that need attention.
So for example, if someone's always worried about their job, maybe it means they're not happy there.
Could be. Or maybe they're not following their passion.
Right. Or if someone's always worried about their relationships, maybe it means they need to set some boundaries.
Exactly. Or they need to communicate better.
Oh, okay. So it's not about pretending the worries aren't there, but using them to reflect and grow.
Yeah. Ask yourself, what's this worry trying to tell me? What needs to change?
I love that. Instead of the enemy, worry becomes like a guide.
Leading you to a better place.
To a more authentic life.
Exactly. And that's at the heart of what Jung called individuation.
Right, becoming our true selves.
Yes. Expressing our full potential, living by our values.
Well, it's not just about managing worry, it's about creating a life that's truly fulfilling.
Exactly. Well-being, it's about all of us. Physical, mental, emotional, even spiritual.
Right, all connected.
And when we nourish all those parts, we naturally feel more peaceful, more resilient.
Less stressed, less worried.
Yeah.
Okay, this is blowing my mind. It's like we've had worry all wrong.
We try to fight it instead of using it.
As a way to grow and transform.
Exactly.
So what are some practical things we can do to put these ideas into action?
Well, the video talks about cultivating a daily mindfulness practice.
Oh, mindfulness, right.
Yeah, spending a few minutes each morning, meditating, journaling, even just sitting quietly.
Just being present.
Exactly. Creating space in our busy lives to just be.
It's about slowing down, tuning into ourselves.
Instead of constantly being bombarded with outside stuff.
Right. And as we become more aware of our thoughts, feelings, even what's going on in our bodies, we're more in control.
Right. So how does mindfulness help with worry? One thing worry does is it pulls us out of the present, right?
Yeah, all those what ifs about the future or regrets about the past.
Exactly. But with mindfulness, we can train ourselves to be more present, more grounded.
It's like building a mental muscle, right?
Yeah, a muscle for peace. And the more we work it, the less those anxious thoughts control us.
Oh, I like that. But what about those times when worry just feels overwhelming?
It happens.
The video, it mentions self-compassion.
That's crucial. Jung, he was all about accepting ourselves, not judging ourselves.
Right, because we all have that shadow side.
The parts of ourselves we don't like.
And those are the parts that often make us feel anxious.
Right. So instead of getting mad at ourselves for feeling worried, what if we just showed ourselves some kindness?
It's like saying it's okay to feel this way. It doesn't make you a bad person.
Exactly. Self-compassion. It's so healing.
It creates space to just feel our feelings, process them.
Yeah, instead of pushing them down.
Right, and then they lose their power.
Exactly. But how does this all connect to Jung's idea of the shadow?
Yeah, that still seems a bit mysterious.
It is a complex idea, but really powerful. Jung thought the shadow is a part of us unconsciously that holds all the stuff we've rejected.
Like this stuff we don't want to admit we have.
Yeah, our fears, anger, selfishness, shame.
The stuff we hide.
Right.
But how does that make us worried?
Well, Jung believed that even when we try to ignore the shadow, it doesn't just go away.
Right.
It goes underground and influences us without us realizing it.
Oh, so it's like carrying around all this baggage we don't even see.
Yeah, and that baggage, it can come out as worry, anxiety.
Yeah.
And the more we try to hide those shadow parts, the more powerful they get.
It's like trying to hold a beach ball underwater.
Exactly. Eventually, it's going to pop up.
So how do we deal with this shadow?
Jung believed the key was to bring it into the light, to acknowledge those parts of us we reject.
Face them head on.
He called this shadow work.
Sounds intense.
It can be tough, but it can also be freeing.
Okay, I'm intrigued. How do we do it?
Well, there are lots of ways to approach shadow work.
Yeah.
But it all starts with noticing those shadow aspects when they pop up.
Like when they affect our lives.
Exactly. For example, say someone's always getting annoyed by other people being arrogant.
Oh, okay.
Maybe it means they're projecting their own shadow of arrogance onto others. Or if someone's always criticizing people for being lazy, maybe they're hiding their own shadow of laziness.
Interesting. So we have to look at ourselves.
Yeah. Notice our own patterns.
And ask ourselves, what am I projecting onto others? What am I hiding in myself?
Exactly. And as we become more aware of those shadow parts, we can start to integrate them.
Instead of letting them control us.
Yeah.
So we're not trying to get rid of the shadow.
No, it's about making peace with it.
Coexisting with it.
Right. And as we do that, often those shadow parts lose their power.
They're not so scary anymore.
And we feel more whole, more at peace.
This is really fascinating. There's so much more to worry than I ever thought.
It's not a richness. It's a chance to understand ourselves better, to grow.
Maybe even spiritual.
Exactly. That's what's so cool about Jung's work. He gives us a way to turn our problems into opportunities.
To use those dark parts of ourselves for good.
Yeah, to find healing and wholeness.
So what are some practical ways to start using these ideas in our own lives?
Well, the video suggests a few things. One that really stuck with me was cultivating a daily mindfulness practice.
Oh yeah, mindfulness. We talked about that earlier.
It could be spending a few minutes each morning meditating, journaling, or just sitting and paying attention to your breath.
Creating space for stillness.
Exactly. Making time in our busy lives to just be present.
It's about slowing down, tuning into what's going on inside us.
Instead of always being bombarded by stuff from the outside.
Right, right. And when we become more aware of our thoughts, feelings, what's happening in our bodies, we're more in control.
Exactly. And how does this help with worry specifically? Well, one thing worry does is it pulls us out of the present, right?
Yeah, into all those what ifs about the future and regrets about the past.
Right. But by practicing mindfulness, we can train ourselves to be more present, more grounded.
It's like building a mental muscle, right?
Exactly. A muscle for presence, ease. And the more we work it, the less we get swept away by those anxious thoughts.
So even when those big worries hit, we can stay grounded.
Right. But what about those times when worry feels so big that we just can't find ourselves?
Yeah, those times are tough.
They are. The video talks about the importance of self-compassion in those moments.
Right. Being kind to ourselves.
Exactly. Remember, Jung emphasized self-acceptance, not judging ourselves. He said we all have that shadow side.
The parts we don't like.
Right. And often those are the parts that are fueling our anxiety and insecurities.
So instead of getting mad at ourselves for feeling worried, we offer ourselves compassion and understanding.
Exactly. It's like saying, hey, it's okay to feel this way. It doesn't make you a bad person.
And that can be really powerful, right?
It is. Self-compassion, it's incredibly healing. It creates a space to acknowledge those uncomfortable feelings and process.
Instead of pushing them down and pretending they're not there.
Exactly. And those shadow aspects, they often have valuable information for us.
Like clues about what needs to change in our lives.
Right. So it's about turning inward, listening to those whispers of discomfort and asking, what is this trying to tell me? What needs my attention? This has been such an eye-opening conversation. It's amazing how exploring these ideas can give us practical tools to deal with something like worry.
It is. It's a reminder that we're not alone on this journey. We all have the power within us to find that peace and strength. So keep exploring. Keep trusting and let go of those worries that aren't helping you anymore. Okay, so we've been talking about this idea of aligning our lives with what really matters to us, like our deepest values,
Right.
and how that can help us with all this worry stuff.
Yeah.
But I got to be honest, it still sounds kind of like vague to me.
Yeah.
What does that actually look like, in everyday life?
Well, it's a good question. Jung talked about this process of individuation, basically becoming a whole person true to yourself.
Right. Yeah, we touched on that.
Yeah, and it's about bringing that awareness of who you truly are, what Jung called the self, into everything you do.
Yeah.
And it starts with noticing what really brings you joy, what energizes you, makes you feel alive.
All the things that light you up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The things that make you feel like you're in your element.
Right. But what if you've been so busy worrying and doing all the things you're supposed to do that you've forgotten what those things even are?
That's where a little introspection comes in.
Okay.
The video, it suggests things like journaling, exploring your creative side, even just taking some quiet time to think about what really matters.
Okay.
It might even mean going back to old dreams, passions you put aside.
It's like reconnecting with your inner child, that excitement you had for things.
Yeah, exactly. That spark that maybe got, buried under responsibility and expectations.
Right.
And as you start to remember those things that make you happy, you can start making changes in your life to create more for them.
Okay.
It might be small things like setting aside time each week for a hobby.
Right.
Or it could be bigger changes like in your career or relationships.
Wow. It's about making your outside world match your inside world.
Yeah. Making choices that reflect who you really are.
But what about, all the practical stuff? Bills, responsibilities, all that. That can feel like it's holding you back.
Yeah. Those are important. And it's not about being irresponsible or anything.
Right.
But often our worries come from this sense of scarcity.
Scarcity.
This belief that there's not enough time, money, energy to do the things that matter to us.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
We get stuck in this mindset of fear and limitation.
Right. But the video, it talks about cultivating a sense of abundance instead.
Abundance. I'm not sure I get what that means.
Yeah, it's more than just having a lot of stuff.
Oh,
It's about seeing the richness of life, how everything's connected, trusting that, the universe or whatever higher power you believe in will provide what you need.
wishing that it will all work out.
Yeah, trusting that you're supported.
Okay, I can see that. But how do you actually cultivate that trust? Especially when, we're told we got to hustle, work hard to get what we want.
It's a process. And it might mean challenging some of those beliefs you've held for a long time. The video, it suggests trying things like gratitude journaling, focusing on what you already have.
Okay.
Noticing those little coincidences, those unexpected good things that happen.
So instead of looking at what's missing, you're training yourself to see what's already there.
Exactly. Seeing the abundance.
Even when things are tough.
Yeah, even then. And as you shift your perspective, you open yourself up to new possibilities.
Oh, that's cool.
You start to attract more of what you want, but not by forcing it.
But by being in alignment.
Right. By trusting.
It's you become a magnet for the good stuff.
Yeah, just by changing your energy.
Wow. But what about when, things don't go the way you hoped, when those worries come back?
Yeah.
The video keeps talking about surrender. But I gotta say, I still don't totally get it.
It's a tough one, especially when we're taught to be in control, to do everything ourselves.
Right.
But like we said, it's not about giving up.
Okay.
It's more like acknowledging that we can't control everything. Trusting in something bigger, whether it's the universe, your higher power, or even just the wisdom of your own unconscious mind.
Letting go of the reins a little bit.
Yeah. Knowing you don't have to micromanage everything.
That's a relief.
It is. It's about recognizing that there's a bigger plan, even if you can't see it all right now.
Yeah.
And letting yourself be guided by that plan instead of fighting it.
It's like trading in the illusion of control for peace.
Exactly.
But how do you actually surrender in real life?
It can be different things. It might be surrendering to the present moment, accepting what is, or surrendering to your feelings, letting yourself feel them without judgment. Or it could be surrendering to your higher power, trusting that you're being guided.
Oh, I see. It's about cultivating trust and faith.
Yeah.
In yourself and in something bigger.
Yeah, exactly. And as you practice surrender, life often becomes less of a struggle, more of a flow.
Well, that feels nice.
It is. You start to experience this ease and grace you might not have thought was possible.
This whole deep dive has been incredible. It's amazing how, starting with worry, we end up learning so much about ourselves and, the big picture.
Yeah, it shows that wisdom can come from anywhere.
It does.
Yeah.
And that even the tough stuff, the challenges, can actually help us grow.
Yeah. So what's the main thing you hope people take away from all this?
For me, it's that worry, even though it feels bad, can actually be a wake-up call. It's pointing us towards something deeper.
A deeper connection to ourselves, to others, to something bigger.
And when we go on that journey, that's when we can really transform how we deal with worry and find peace and happiness we never thought we could have.
I love that. That's beautiful.
Thanks. This has been an amazing exploration. We've learned so much about worry and how to handle it in a healthier way. Remember, you're not alone in this. We all have that inner wisdom, that peace and strength inside us. So keep exploring, keep trusting, and let go of those worries that aren't doing you any good.